I have got some ghost stories for you.
I come home from the gym and the chairs are all stacked upside down, like a very intricate stack.
There was a werewolf on our porch swing holding one of our kittens.
The pen was all busted open and there is blood everywhere.
There's like somebody standing in the middle of the bed with their finger pushing straight up on the canopy, like a tent pole. But there's nothing there. And I laid in bed like a little kid. I pulled the covers up over my eyes.
This little boy told paranormal investigators, apparently my grandfather came back from the dead to harass a toddler.
So that is my ghost story.
Hi, and welcome to Haunted AF, the podcast of real music played. No,
real music.
It says playing music? Question mark.
So funny.
Oh, the podcast.
I thought you were flashing back to your radio days.
Oh God, I'm sorry. It's already a mess. Hi, and welcome to Haunted AF, the podcast of real ghost stories told by real people.
Woo!
We are your hosts. I'm Julie Fisk,
and I'm Rebecca Black.
I'm still wanting to say music for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, coming up, we're going to answer some listener questions.
Ooh, okay.
And we're going to share some of the stories from the spooky spectacle from this past weekend. We've got some amazing stories, and there's one that has this really wild World War II connection. We've got links and everything.
Oh, so many good stories from the weekend. But first, we need to say thanks to our newest patrons, Megan Adams and Kless59. Remember, you can find our weekly pre-games and tons of exclusive content at patreon.com/hauntedaf. We also go pretty in-depth about last weekend's spooky spectacle in the latest pregame, which, I mean, it's tons of fun. I'm going to be real honest with you. So you definitely want to check that out.
Speaking of which, we had to say enormous thanks to everybody who came out.
For real.
Yeah, we met like some super fans.
Yes.
Which was
somebody came from Austin to see us.
Yeah, there was some really cool just surprises that happened along the way. The Golden Ghouls were there.
All of them. It was amazing.
Victoria Monday, Ghostbuster Rob. I mean, so many people surprised us.
How cute is Ghostbuster Rob?
So precious.
I mean, first of all, the whole outfit, he went above and beyond with his Ghostbuster look.
Yeah.
He even had toys and sound effects and all that kind of stuff, made it so realistic. And then we caught him like playing into the audience.
Yeah, he gave some of his tools to these special needs kids and was letting them play with them.
Precious.
And they were having the best time.
Yeah.
But we also have to say a big hello to River, who sent us this email. Hi, this is River from Spooky Spectacle. And right now I'm on my bike parked and listening to your podcast with my proton pack from Ghostbusters.
Yay.
Now that was all in the subject line.
Oh,
there was
wow.
nothing in the body of the email. It was just that.
No need.
And honestly, the mental image of River sitting on his bike and listening to the podcast with his proton pack on, that's like the best mental image I've had in a really long time.
It really makes me happy.
Thank you so much for that. We did collect a whole lot of stories that we're going to be sharing throughout the rest of this season, which wraps on October 28th. So that means you only have 4 more weeks to get your stories in. Please send those hauntedafpodcast@gmail.com. And let's go ahead and get started. This story came from Doug. This is one we got at the Spooky Spectacle this weekend. And he's been a fan for a long time now. He's a flight attendant. He flies for American Airlines. So he has some amazing stories.
I was with my family in Paris. I was about 5 years old at the time.
Paris, Texas?
Paris, France.
Okay.
I was like, no, the legit Paris.
Yeah, the real
He's
one.
He's a flight attendant. He knows these. I mean,
this was way before I joined the airline. Yeah.
I'm still not convinced it's not Paris, Arkansas, but I'll believe you. Okay.
So we were there. My parents were in one room. My brother and I were in another. And in the middle of the night, we apparently woke up screaming. And we told our parents, like, there was a voice in here. There was a guy, some guy was in our room. And they said, no, look, there's no one here. The doors are all locked. And we heard somebody say 999. German, no.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
You know what? I thought 666 upside down.
Yeah, well, that would work too.
But 999.
And my parents, of course, the next morning told the hotel desk, it's like, something weird happened last night. So someone in my kid's room, and they said, oh, what room were you in? So I forgot the number. And they said, oh, yes, there was an incident in that room once upon a time. Back in 1945.
Okay.
Hitler.
I knew it. No.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Hitler wanted to burn Paris.
Right.
And one of the generals he told to go do it said, no. He got shot about 2 minutes later.
So wait, what was the connection to the room? Was there any?
That's the room he got shot in.
Oh my! I was like, girl, follow the dots.
Yeah. He got shot in that room where he just said, nope, I'm not going to do it.
And then they
shot him right there on the spot.
For the record, You tried to not tell us that story. You said it wasn't.
I know you were like, it's not a good story.
It's,
I'm like,
you know,
I'm
it's like-
sorry, you have Hitler, you have Nazi, you have
Paris.
Come on.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so
That's
much,
Oh,
Doug.
thank
That's
you guys.
awesome.
It was great seeing y'all.
Okay, so Doug sent a couple of links to verify his story.
Mhm.
It's a little tough though, because there are a couple of different hotels that are right there in that area that were used as headquarters during World War II. So we think the one in question was the Hotel Crillon. Crillon. Hotel
Crillon, that's how the Texans say it, Crillon.
Hotel Crillon, which overlooks the famous Place de la Concorde.
Ooh.
And I think the guy in question was Dietrich von Choltes, I believe.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Choltits. I'm so sad.
Well, we can say Choltits. Choltits. Dietrich von Choltits.
Choltits.
But he actually didn't die. He actually survived that whole thing and lived until
Ugh.
1966. But that whole area is super haunted anyhow, because that's where they originally had the guillotine during the French Revolution. Yeah. So
Ooh.
even in that little Place de la Concorde, is that what it is? Place de la Concorde. Jesus Christ.
If you say it enough, it's not going to sound
It's not going to sound better.
like,
is
yeah,
it?
no.
I'm not
Mm-mm.
making it sound any more French. But they even beheaded Marie Antoinette there.
Ooh.
So that whole area. But anyhow, Doug did send a lot of links and it's got some really great history. So go check that out. HauntedAF.com. This is episode 9, season 8.
All right, this next email comes from Ruben Jr. First off, I've been binging this podcast all week while at work. I'm currently on season 2, episode 9.
Ooh, you got a ways to go.
No kidding. Now, I'm not sure if y'all do a Q&A, but I've listened to these stories and just wonder. So here's a few questions I have. Do you believe ghosts prey on people who believe? Like, are they doing stuff to try and make them look crazy?
Oh, that's mean.
I mean, that's a good question.
I don't think ghosts do that on purpose just to make people look crazy. I also feel like maybe they're not that smart. You know, they're
Right.
not going out of their way to.
I mean, if they can't figure out how to get back to the light, you know, and get off this earth, right? They can't be all that smart. They
Yeah.
can't be like plotting things, right?
Right. I don't see them as being intentional. Personally, I think it's just like this really active energy.
Right.
And that sometimes the active energy seems like a prankster and that it can do
Or
things.
if it was like in their real life or whatever, if they were a mean person, maybe, then that mean spirit is kind of coming out.
Right. But I don't think they necessarily prey on people who do believe in ghosts. I think people who do believe in ghosts are just going to be, for whatever reason, more likely to see these things or experience them or acknowledge them when they're happening.
I mean, we believe in ghosts, and every time we taunt a ghost, nothing happens. I guess I just think I would have a lot more ghosty experiences than what I do have if they preyed on people who believe.
Right. Maybe they just don't like you. They're like,
I know,
"Oh,
which is upsetting.
it's that bitch again. She's always taunting
Like,
us."
yes, I'm sorry. I'm very upset by that, but I want you to prove yourself.
Okay. What's the other question?
Number 2, let's see. What are your thoughts on ghost tours? Sure, sometimes people have eerie feelings or experiences, but could the company be staging some of these things? I feel like you'd almost have to be at the place after hours to experience anything. And that's from Ruben Jr.
Yeah. This is something we've been talking about
For
because
sure.
there is a place in particular that I have my doubts about.
Right. There's, yeah.
Yeah.
There's, we discussed that in depth at the Spooky Spectacle.
Yeah, just a little too much activity. I do think it's entirely possible that places could be
Same.
staging stuff
Same.
or just encouraging. Anytime somebody's like, "Oh, I feel nauseous," I could see that stuff being encouraged. And I do think also if you're easily influenced in those kinds of situations, that you might be more likely to see or experience things.
Or that whatever you saw is an interpretation of your ghost.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of just like leaning into that.
Right. You're kind of seeing what you want to see or hearing
Right.
what you want to hear. That said, we've heard a lot of stories about things happening on
Mhm.
tours. And I myself have had something happen.
On a tour?
Yeah, I don't want to go into it right now.
Oh, okay,
Because my
fine.
husband's in the other room. He's going to make fun of me.
Oh. I'm like, I've only been on the one ghost tour and nothing happened on it.
Oh, really? Which
Yeah.
one?
I went on one when I was in Colorado. We went to Durango, Colorado.
Oh, that's right.
And apparently, I don't know, the ghost of John Wayne gets visited by a prostitute from time to time or whatever. And
Wow.
That's
got to be an interesting thing to witness.
I would think so. But while I was on the tour, nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
I
Yeah.
will say I took a picture of one of the places and it looked like something weird was in the window. But then when I went back and looked, it
Oh, I
was no
remember
longer
that.
there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Sometimes you see what you want to see.
yeah.
And but again, things can still happen. But yeah, Ruben, I'm kind of with you on that. All right. So this next story comes from Criselda.
Hi, this is Criselda from somewhere down in Texas, and I have many stories of the paranormal as I have been affected for most of my life. And this story is from when I was about 15 years old, but it was in my childhood home. I was home alone for one of the first times ever because being the youngest, my mom didn't want me home by myself. And I was sitting on the living room floor and I had the sense to turn and look toward our kitchen, which was directly to our left, the entryway. And as I looked up, I saw a disembodied leg walking away from me. So I decided the leg would go its way and I would go mine, which was straight out the front door and onto the front steps, where I waited until somebody got home. So I enjoy the podcast and hope you'll have a great day.
Oh, thank you, Criselda.
Just one leg.
Yeah, because
That's fantastic.
We had that one where it was the granny legs and you could see the bottom of her moo-moo.
Right.
And it was just walking down the hall.
Yes.
And her grandchildren saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, Criselda, was it wearing pants? Was it wearing anything, or was it just one naked leg walking down the hall?
That's a good question.
And
Did it maybe have a cane with it or something?
How high up did it go? Was there any booty in there, or was it just leg
or knee, or I don't know?
We have questions.
So many
Criselda.
questions.
Okay, so this email comes from Emma. Hi, ladies. I just listened to your most recent episode, and when I saw the title, Good Night Zoo, I said to myself, I hope it's about Spencer.
Oh.
Lo and behold, I hear my old friend Miriam's voice talking about our zoo.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, the first recording I sent to you about Vindicator Trail came from my old office at Shine Mountain Zoo. I can absolutely corroborate Miriam's story about good old Spence and the weird happenings on the mountain. Many a time when we used the old non-digital radios, my night would culminate with strange radio sounds and transmissions that we would blame on Spencer Penrose. Boy, that brought back memories. Obviously, that's not why I'm writing. I actually have an update on Vindicator Trail. We decided to take our kids up there because A, it's beautiful, and B, they loved the Haunted AF episode. My stepson, who loves all things spooky, was so excited for an experience of his own. So we took our haunted Tesla and drove on up. Girl, take the Tesla to the cemetery.
Oh my gosh, the haunted Tesla.
And get an experience like that. The house was there as creepy as ever, but unfortunately, nothing happened inside. My stepson was pretty disappointed. But as we walked toward a different abandoned house, we heard a large iron door squeak open and then slam shut. Now, it was dead silent out there otherwise. And like the silence after the slam was deafening. Who knows what it was or wasn't, but it felt like something wanted to remind us it was still there. Happy fall from Colorado Springs. That's from Emma and the family. So Emma's original story about Vindicator Trail, white walls. Oh, God. That's one of my absolute favorite episodes.
Oh, God.
Seriously, to this day, that is episode 8, season 4. We will post a link in the companion blog. That one included Quinn's fireball story, where he's listening to the radio and they're talking about what they're seeing in the sky on the traffic report. And he goes out and sees it. And it also has Ant Young's very first story that he sent to us.
Oh, Ant.
Yeah. So definitely go check that one out if you haven't already.
Dead Pet of the Week.
That's an old one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good one, though. I like it.
Yeah. And guys, please send in your Dead Pet of the Week theme songs.
Yeah.
Because we need some new ones. All right. So this story comes from Megan.
Hi, Julie and Rebecca. My name is Megan, and I wanted to tell you my Dead Pet of the Week story. So about 5.5 years ago, just before my daughter was going to turn 2, our beloved brindle female French bulldog Emma had to be put down. She was in a lot of pain. She had something wrong with her back. And there was one afternoon where it seemed that she was in a lot of pain. So my husband just kind of scooped her up. We gave her a quick cuddle goodbye, and he took her to the vet to have her put down. The next morning, my daughter and I got up early because she was really little. So you get up ridiculously early when your kids are under 3. And then I decided to go to Starbucks. So I strapped her in the car. We drove to the Starbucks drive-thru. And when we came back, I parked next to my husband's car. And my daughter started pointing at my husband's car and saying, Emma, Emma, I see Emma. And I said, no, honey, Emma had to go. She had to go to doggy heaven. And she was adamant, though. No, Emma is in daddy's car. Emma's in daddy's car. So I thought, well, I guess it would make sense if he had been there with her when she went down, because he stayed with her while they put her down, that her spirit would get up and follow him back to the house, to the car. So I had said to him, hey, maybe you should go out to the car and say to Emma, you know, hey, listen, your earthly time is over. You need to go to the light, or whatever he felt like saying. So he actually did. He kind of goes along with all of my crazy stuff. And he went out to the car and he had a little conversation with Emma and told her it was time for her to cross over. And later that afternoon, we were in the backyard playing, and I was pushing my daughter on the swing set we had back there. And she starts staring up at the sky and pointing. She looked so excited. And I said, what are you looking at? There was nothing up there, no birds or anything. And she said, Emma, I see Emma. And I said, you see Emma? And she said, yeah, she's flying all around. And then she pointed to a tree and said, she's in the tree. I see Emma. I really believe, because she was beloved to us, she was like our first child before my daughter was born, that she was there and just, you know, left the car when my husband told her that she should, and was having one last look around before she crossed over. And that's our dead pet of the week story.
That is so sweet.
I'm like about to cry.
I know.
That is the sweetest.
I know. And she's a little French bulldog. Can you
Yes.
imagine that with little
With
wings?
little wings. I literally just had that thought.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Thank you
that is-
so much for that, Megan. And by the way, God love the dudes who indulge our creepy stuff.
Amen. That's
God
a good
love
husband.
you.
All right, this next story comes from Stacy Mack. When I was a teenager living at my parents' house, strange things often happened. My grandmother lived with us, and she usually got home around the same time I got home from school. One day I got home and no one was there yet, so I went upstairs. Then clearly heard a woman's voice speaking from downstairs. I figured my grandmother had gotten home and was on the phone, but a few minutes later, everything was quiet. I went downstairs to check and no one was there. When my grandmother did get home, I asked her if she had stopped by earlier, but she had not. I still have no idea what I heard that day. I recently went back to my parents' house when my mother became ill and my father needed help caring for her. The ghost, or whatever it was, wasted no time in letting me know that it was still there, usually shuffling newspapers and stomping around in the middle of the night. Then I started clearly hearing old-timey country music playing almost every night. Sweet Jesus in heaven. Old-timey country music. Hell no. The first time I heard it, I walked around the house to see where it was coming from. It always sounded like it was in the next room over, no matter where I was in the house. I never found anything, and I didn't tell my parents about it because they had had enough to deal with. Then one night, my mother called for me in the middle of the night. I went into her room and she asked me who was playing country music. I told her there was no country music playing, but she insisted she heard it. I asked her about it the next morning and she said that it sounded like Willie Nelson, which was the exact same thing I had been hearing for weeks from Stacy.
It's weird though. I don't think about Willie Nelson as being like old timey country music.
But I mean, really, he is like 1,000 years old.
He is.
I mean, he really is.
Okay, so this next story is another little trip back to Granbury. This one comes from Sonia.
My name is Sonia Forsyth.
Okay, and you have a story for us?
I do have a story. So this happened when I was 17. I was an au pair living in California. And I was asleep and I was having this dream experience, whatever, that I was on a table and I was panicking and there was things around the room, but I couldn't see them, but I could mentally hear them say, this one's different. We have to put it back. I woke up at a pile of laundry across the room and thinking that's weird.
That's so weird.
And so I got up and I went into the kitchen area, and the lady that I was living with, she's like, where have you been? I've been looking for you. I was like, I was asleep in the bedroom. She's like, no, you were not.
How long had you been gone?
I don't know. I had no clue. No, she's like, you've not been here all day. And I was like, I was sleeping in there. And she's like, no, you weren't. I went in there and checked.
Wait, were you walking funny?
No, I wasn't.
Oh my God. She's asking because she wants to know if it was a probe situation.
I'm just saying.
Like, did anything hurt like afterwards?
Nothing was
Like,
weird.
I
I
was
was just
sore. Like an alien didn't take your panties for like a souvenir.
Your panties are hanging off the rearview mirror of some UFO out there.
God, yes, they are. Oh my God, That's hilarious.
And what did the voice say again? I need to hear that one more time.
This one's different. We have to put it back.
This one's different. We have to put it back.
We should have asked her, is there anything like that stands out? Like what's different about her?
I know, right? Like what? She seemed fairly normal.
She was adorable.
I didn't see anything that stood out. Maybe like that meant that she's smarter than everyone else or something. I don't know. Or that she's one of those that'll remember if we probe her.
But for the record, like if you hear us at any of this Granbury stuff, like if we annoy you on the podcast, we're so much worse in person.
Absolutely, we are.
Yeah, I think in listening back to these stories, I'm like, God, we're obnoxious. Oh my God.
Yet I'm still laughing at us. Even when we were doing the Granbury, we did panels at the Spooky Spectacle.
Yeah.
And we listened back to old episodes to kind of refresh and what we were going to talk about for an hour. Right? And we're like cackling at each other in bed because we're like, oh, I forgot how funny we were there.
We literally were laying in bed laughing at ourselves laughing while we were listening to the episode. It was ridiculous.
Oh, well, at least somebody finds us funny. And it's us. All right, you guys, don't forget, you can find all the companion blogs, hauntedaf.com. This will also include our YouTube link. We have lots of pictures from the Spooky Spectacle in Granbury. Don't forget, we do have an online store. You can buy some merch there. It's adorable merch. Let me tell you, did a bug follow me back from Granbury?
It followed me back. I saw it in the house a while ago. So literally,
I also found one in my car.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
So when we were,
this is crazy.
We were trying to close the show, but
sorry, we have to just bring up this bugs incident
because we haven't. I haven't dealt with like a fruit fly or a fly or anything in months. Maybe because it's like a gazillion degrees. But when we got to Granbury, we were dealing with bugs all the time.
Literally, when we walked into our hotel, there was like a fruit fly flying around. I'm like trying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Then next, Julie has an experience. It was non-stop.
We kept dealing like at restaurants, in our room, everywhere. And we were joking about it when we left. We were like, is this one of Granbury's spooky things? And since I got home, my cat was chasing a fly last night. And just now a fruit fly is trying to fly up your nose.
There has been a bug in my car every morning that I've gotten up to go to work.
It's Granbury.
It's
not us. We're not dirty. It's not trash.
No, I'm not dirty.
We're blaming you, Granbury.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay, so where was I? Merch. You can buy our merch online.
Yes.
Buy our merch online. We need all the help we can get. We've got awesome t-shirts, hats, and I think we're going to try to add some water bottles here pretty soon.
Like the really good ones.
Yeah,
so when I get a couple minutes, I'm going to add that. Coming up next week, we have even more great stories from Granbury because seriously, we collected a ton of those. We're also going to talk to writer-director Chris von Hoffman about his new movie, Devil's Workshop, starring Emil Hirsch, like a real movie star.
I like Emil.
Yeah, but Chris grew up in a haunted house, a really cool old house. So yeah, he's got some stories to share. But in the meantime, keep in mind, we only have 4 weeks until Halloween and the end of the season. So get those stories to us. You got to write them down. You got to film yourself telling it and then send it to hauntedafpodcast@gmail.com so we can use it on season 8 of Haunted AF.